think that they'll be able to, or do you think that they'll be able to really implement the phone ban, or is that just going to be kind of an in name only, and so teacher is cool about it, and so teacher is kind of strict about it?
Man, Terry,
What's the inside scoop, Coach?
So our district, we haven't been given the plan yet. Here's the problem with this. The high school level is going to be really tough. At the end of the day, it's state law.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's state law.
Yep.
But on the flip side of that, not totally related, but as it relates to law, we have teachers that don't follow kids' IEPs, which is
Yep.
against federal law,
Yeah.
and nothing happens to them.
Some can't refrain from drinking on campus.
So,
Or
yeah.
banging their 15-year-old baseball players. It's so hard. It's just so hard.
I mean,
I don't get me started on the 10 Commandments when the teachers can't follow it.
It's
We're
a
gonna go
lot
off the
of
rails pretty quick on this one.
yeah. I
can tell.
mean, I warned my students. I warned these guys last year. I said it's going to become a state law.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, hey, "You really think so?" I was like, "No, I know so. I know how this legislature is. I know how our lieutenant governor is. I know how our governor is, and the right people sponsor the bill. It's going to go through." And they go, "Well, why?" I said, "Because you guys suck at self-monitoring,
Yeah.
and your parents are more to blame for it than anything." But I said, on any given day in my classroom, I could ask my EP kids, "Who are you texting with?" "My mom."
Yeah.
And you parents, you suck.
Yep.
Because you're the ones that have caused all this. So don't complain.
Terry's like, that wasn't me.
Yeah,
by the
well,
way."
sure wasn't this guy.
But don't
I mean-
complain to the school and say, well, what if it's an emergency? Then do what my parents had to do and call the front
school.
office.
Yep. Send a note.
And it's going to be imperative that schools have people up there on the phones.
Well, and that's the
manning
thing
the
is, like I've
phones.
said before, it's like elementary school and even like secondary school. That is the policy. Parents don't call their kid to let them know. They call the teacher, or they have access to the teacher, or they call the front office. But it's like once they get to middle school or high school, all of a sudden that goes out the window. And it's like, you've done it for like 5 years leading up to it. Why can't you keep doing that? Like,
Well, and there are some school districts that went ahead and implemented a policy, and they saw increased academic performance,
yep,
fewer social issues,
yep,
fewer fights.
yeah, because they don't have anything to record with.
Yeah, better emotional health.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
just-
better
there's-
emotional health. I mean, the
Yeah.
the number of times I myself have seen kids just broken because of the things that are being said on social media. I mean, we talked about this. We talked about this at church yesterday. Pastor Sean said something about, it's really easy to be brave behind a keyboard and to say vulgar and foul things to people, just to get a reaction from people, and the kids do it too because they're not emotionally responsible enough to handle social media.
Mm-hmm.
But they're out there.
Yep.
They're on the TikToks and Instagram, and they still do Snap.
Yep.
And they think that Snapchat stuff disappears. No,
Well, now they're using like Signal and all kinds of other apps that parents don't know about.
Well,
so.
and kids will figure out a way around this, but
Let's go back to the old school days where we'd write a note and slide it.
I know. Like figure out fancy ways to fold it and
Yeah,
stuff
I remember
like
you
that.
folded,
man.
made it a
Yeah.
football, and kicked
Yeah.
it. You know.
well, before they had
Creativity.
phones, they had spirals, or they used composition books, and they would pass around because I mean, when I started teaching, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
I was like, "What is that?" That's how we write notes to each other. I'm like, write notes to each other.
Well, at least they're writing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which they need help
Good
with
job
now.
practicing.
I don't.
Better if it's in cursive.
But I don't know. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't. At the middle school and elementary school, it'll be easy. At the high school level, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, you think about it. At my school, we're like 2,400 kids at the high school. So, who's monitoring it?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's the
What-
bad guy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what do you do when a kid has his phone out and a teacher asks for the phone and the kid's like, no? So how long do I have to wait before the administrator comes up? Because a lot of times we call the office. We've had teachers call the office, and administrators don't want to. They don't come up there quickly. It's got to be quick.
Yep.
Yeah. We have
Yeah.
multiple generations of anxious kids. Some of them are self-diagnosed. I have anxiety. I don't know that you really have anxiety, but you're stressed out.
Right.
There's a difference between being anxious and having anxiety.
Well, and I think it also starts, like you said, with the parents. The parents are diagnosing themselves, and then the kids want to diagnose themselves. It's like everybody has something, you know? It's like,
You know,
Well,
my-
you get attention for it. too.
yes.
My wife she's a BCBA, so she works closely with kiddos with autism, and so she sits on ARDS and all that stuff. And I remember she told me a few years ago there's actually a diagnosis called ODD, which it's operational defiance disorder, and I was like, so that's like being an asshole, like clinically an asshole.
Yep.
But it's like it's really a thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess we've all just had ODD at some point.
Well, I mean,
Well,
look,
also I got ADD. I got scroll moments
and look
night
at
and day.
look at these comments from kids last year. I mean, like this one, I think my main issue I see within the school system has been the lack of teaching. So it's hard to be upset at a kid for being on his phone when the teacher's not teaching and doing engaging lessons. Look at the same thing with number 2.
Yeah.
For 15, they assign explain for 15 minutes at most. This is when we had block scheduling. Then it's sitting in silence for the rest of the class period. There's no student-teacher relationships, and the environment is dull, unmotivating, and sometimes discomforting. And then the final one. If you were to enter a classroom, all you see is students on their phone, unengaged and uninterested.
Well, I just had this conversation with somebody today about it, and they said, yeah, it's the teachers, they'll give a kid assignment, and then when they're done with it, instead of continuing to teach or move on to a different part of the subject, they say, okay, you could be on your phones. And so now teachers are going to actually have to teach the length of the actual classroom time.
I haven't had to do that in 15 years.
Bell
It's
to
been
bell, is
since-
that what you say?
Yeah, it's been, this is a huge, big result from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Because when teachers were teaching online, I mean, you'd see your kids for 15, 20. You're not going to teach a kid online for
No.
45, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, so, it became a normal issue.
Well, and it's also hard, too, because a lot of, like, the kids' stuff
See,
for
there's the
organizing things
cyberbullying.
is an app on their phone. So, like, kids that are involved in sports for the school, they use Sports Engine, things like that. So they cannot like, you're not having a coach reach out to them beforehand planning practices. It's last minute, oh, we're going to delay practice today, or you're not going to have practice today. So these kids have to rely on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I didn't think about that.
yeah.
But that wasn't an issue. In
No,
the 90s
it's
and early
because
2000s.
yes,
Like,
it's because
Yeah.
faculty have become lazy in their delivery and relied so much on the
Yeah.
kids to do it.
Because technology can do it instead.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and we've had this proliferation of apps that, coaches can use. We use Sports U
Mm-hmm.
because it tracks everything, and you have to have something like that because you don't want coaches texting kids.
Right. Right.
It's
But
like
what
they,
happened to
Yeah.
like printing it out and sending
That's
it in
another
their backpack?
topic we can put
That's a
on here.
gateway.
well, and we get told this all the time. I mean, don't be texting kids,
Mm-hmm.
and we see it frequently where teachers get in trouble for doing that very thing. This is why we have apps like Band and Sports U. We use I know on our trips we use WhatsApp
Mm-hmm.
because it tracks everything. Everything's trackable. These kids, they just don't have the emotional capacity to handle this stuff, and they are living in kind of somewhat of a fantasy world. Like again, we're on the trip, the number, there you go, principal and staff drinking at prom and HR superintendent cover up.
Where?
That sounds familiar.
Wasn't there just a bill that was passed to prohibit this anymore from the cover-ups going on?
But
to
it's gonna
protect
it's gonna
kids?
happen.